Well, it is time once again to experience one of the gems in Detroit that has been welcoming guests for years. So, after being closed for months, the Detroit Institute of Arts will once again welcome guests starting this Friday. Joining me now to talk about what you can expect is Elliot Broom, the Vice President of Museum Operations. Thank you so much for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. DIA is one of my most favorite places in Detroit. But let's get into some of the nitty gritty of how this is all going down. So, you guys are following safety measures advised by the National Sanitation Foundation International. Let's start with the big question. Will masks be required?
Yes, following the governor's direction, masks will be required for all visitors and staff while they're inside the building.
Okay, so what other steps are being taken to ensure safety while enjoying the beautiful museum?
It'll be a slightly different experience for many of our regular museum goers, being that normally we have multiple points of entry. In this current situation, we'll have just one point of entry, which will be the Farnsworth Street entry to the museum. Guests will experience a temperature read via a thermal camera as soon as they enter the door. Once admitted through the doors, then we have a new touchless admission system. So either whether it's on their phone or device or printed out on a piece of paper, they'll register ahead of time for a time ticket, and then they'll scan their device or piece of paper to gain access to the museum. Normally you check in with an admissions staff member, but that won't be the case now.
Okay.
Once in the museum, it'll be a different experience as well, being that kind of one-way traffic in many areas that we're calling zones. So either a gallery or suites of galleries have been combined to create a one-way path through the museum.
Okay, so now let's talk about controlled attendance in terms of how many people can be in the museum at a time.
Sure. So at this current stage of our reopening, we're limiting admission to 50 visitors every half hour. So if you want to look at it in a 2-hour increment, that would be 200 people every 2 hours.
All right, so let's talk about opening weekend. Can anyone come? How's this working?
So this weekend, we are happy to welcome back our first guests. We are for this weekend only. It will be members of the museum and residents of Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties. And then beginning next Wednesday, we are open to the public.
All right, so is everything going to be back open or will there be parts of the building that will remain closed?
So we've worked really hard to make sure that we reopen every gallery space in the museum. So all galleries will be open. There are spaces that will be closed, such as Rivera Court, such as Kresge Court and our cafe. So we will have no food and beverage service inside of the museum. The Detroit Film Theater Auditorium will also be closed. And only for this stage, we will reopen all of these spaces at a later date. But I think it's also important to note that because we'll have no food and beverage service inside the museum, we are working on having food trucks at the museum every day possible throughout this stage.
That is really smart because I love the Kresge Court and kicking back with a glass of wine in there. So next best thing is food trucks, which I also love. So
Right.
let's talk about some of the exhibits that people can come and see for the first time or see again.
Sure. We have a number of exhibits that are open. The main one right now is called Bruegel, and it's a deeper dive into the wedding dance. It's the wedding dance revealed. It's a work of art that is part of our permanent collection here at the DIA. However, we're giving our visitors an opportunity to get up close and personal with this work of art in ways that no one, and I've worked at the museum for almost a dozen years, I've never been able to get this close to the work of art. So we have that exhibition going on. We also have a couple of what we call guests of honor, which are works of art by very important artists that come to us from other institutions. So currently we have two different artists represented by being Frida Kahlo and Salvador Dali. So those are on display. And then finally, there's a spectacular exhibition of a local photographer. His name is Jeff Gadash, and it's his work surrounding the Michigan Great Lakes. It's a really beautiful exhibition of black and white photography.
Oh, this is all very exciting. Really quickly, where can people get more information and reserve a ticket?
Oh, good question. As always, anyone can go to www.dia.org. And please remember that for this stage of the reopening, all tickets are timed and it's limited entry. We look forward to having everyone back.
I can't wait to be back as well. Elliot, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thanks again for having me.